Yo, JD here, Limitless, and we are back on F1 2019 and back with some league racing. It's been quite a while over the Christmas break. It's been about 3 weeks, almost a month since I did a league race, and this one was pretty recent. This is in World Online Racing League. This is WOR, which I do on Mondays at 8 p.m, and I always live stream it. And this is a very competitive grid. We've got the likes of Infamous. Who else we've got? We've got Pinecone, V Syra or Syra. We got pretty damn quick people in here, and I think you know that Singapore is one of my favourite tracks that I've done in this game. I think I got a front row, well, would have had a front row start in IOR, but that didn't come into light in the end because I think something happened on there. I think I got a 5 grid race penalty and then damage, and then I won round here in TSRL. So I was really looking forward to this one. This is my first race I've actually done on the new Fanatec gear, which I did in my last video, so make sure you check that out. And yeah, this is the qualifying lap. We're on the medium tyres. Went out on the hards initially to start with because it's pretty much a one-shot qualifying, and you may notice with my fuel I went for 1 lap only in this. I didn't want to do 2 laps because in practice when I did that my tyres actually went off on the second lap, so I just went all or nothing, going completely just for the mediums only. And apologies if that notification noise is a little bit annoying. I'll try and turn it off for the next time I stream, every time that someone subscribes. But thank you very much for everyone who has been subscribing and supporting me recently. It's been absolutely insane. But yeah, I just put everything on the line for this lap. I felt very good. Honestly, I feel I've actually stepped up another gear recently, purely because of the Fanatec equipment, the wheel, the base, and mainly the pedals. It feels insane, and my PB coming into this was a 34.3, and just for reference, I got pole in TSRL with a 35.0, I think. So you know, that's 7/10 faster, and I have slightly tweaked the setup a little bit from what I used there, but mainly it's just having a much better feeling with the car itself. And yeah, Syra, he's on pole at the moment with a 34.7, and you can see it going purple in this middle sector, going around the last corner now. Let's see what time this is going to be, and it's a 34.6, and no, that was enough for provisional pole at that moment in time, but I wasn't really happy with that at all, and I was pretty convinced that someone would beat that. But you can see CRG, Syra, VSR and Tony, and MU, if I can even read that properly on my screen, Ewan, who's actually the world record holder around here. So it's a very quick grid. That was enough for pole position. So that's a good sign normally. You see MNT Ewan, sorry, he's the world record holder. So yeah, if I'm not happy and I'm still getting pole, then usually that's a good sign that I'm driving well or something's just clicking in the setup. And that's exactly what was happening here. Because the league racing in this game has been quite inconsistent for me, to be honest. I've had a few pole positions, had some wins, many podiums and stuff, but when I haven't been on the podium, it's normally been quite a bad result. So really looking to just improve my consistency this year. That was one of my New Year's resolutions. And you can see I've got 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights now. Really have been practicing the starts here, but the first time on this new pedal set, and this is an absolutely perfect start. That's the best start I've had in league racing on F1 2019 so far, without question. That was a perfect start. And you may notice my fuel is severely underfueled, minus 2.6 laps, and you're probably wondering, why on earth have you underfueled that much? And I've done a couple of league races around here, and I found that underfueling, it does improve your lap time. Not significantly. People would think it improves it by half a second or something, which really isn't the case. Even if I had 0.0, I say it improves maybe 2/10 or something like that, but it's mainly just it just gives you better engine power if you don't overheat the car. So if you're running and lean quite a bit, but the main thing that I use it for really is just to really look after the tyres when it actually overheats. Because overheating is a little bit of a problem around here. It can potentially be a problem, and I've just noticed the lighter the car is, the less prone it is to overheating in the tyres and the carcass temperature and stuff like that. So that is purely the reason why I do it, and I find it's very doable to save fuel around here. And as I said, it really looks after your engine, because if you run in standard and rich for too long, it will actually start to damage your engine over time. So whenever I need to pull it up, I'll actually have the maximum straight line speed, and so that's the reason why I'm doing it. And it just helps a little bit of traction, since I'm always in lean. I'm looking after my tyre wear as well, and putting it on the rich and the straights when I need to. But you can see going straight back down to lean and no ERS going through the corners here. And perfect start to this race. And you can see we've actually made a gap on Pinecone in third and some others behind, so the pace is extremely good. Wasn't really pushing that hard. My best lap I did in practice was a 39.2 on my opening couple of laps, but I'm just running in lean here, really just looking after it, and you can see just constantly just changing it all the time here. And my goal was really just to get out the DRS zone, because I thought if I could shake MNT Ewan, then I would have the pace. And practicing with the likes of Pinecone and Surprise in practice, I'm sure they don't mind me saying, but I felt I had better pace than them in practice. So to get the pole position, I'm in the perfect position now. All I have to do is just keep relatively consistent. As you can see, we are just outside the DRS zone, and that is crucial. We really need to try and stay out of this DRS zone. We've got a big gap to P4 behind, and this is what I need to get used to. I'm quite often the one chasing in a league race, particularly on this game. I haven't really had the luxury of being a race leader for quite a long time, actually. So this is a bit of a different territory for me, something I was very used to in the past, but haven't been used to as much of since. And you can see now we're still outside that DRS zone, and I just knew I just need to just make sure I do this. Just sometimes the hardest moments is just those couple laps in the race where you really need to deliver, and it can make your race so much easier in the long haul if I could just stay out this DRS zone, because DRS, as you know, in this game is incredibly powerful. And the setup I'm using here, I'm using 811 wings, where I use 1111 wings in TSRL, and that means I'm actually quite quick in a straight line. So again, perfect position to be in, because I think if anyone gets behind me, I still feel that I'll be able to just fend them off pretty comfortably, because I'm actually keeping up a lot of momentum in the corners. And I have to say, I'm driving just very intelligently, very smartly, very efficiently at this point. I'm not pushing 100% whatsoever. I'd say I'm about 80% right now, just making sure I don't start to overheat the tyres, because if I do that, it's pretty difficult to try and control the temperature again. And I'm saving quite a bit of fuel and ERS as well. You can see I've still got quite a bit of ERS to defend with. Putting it in low here because I just want to try and get out of this DRS, and you can see 1.3 seconds down. So now I'm just comfortably pulling away and going towards the end of lap 8. M&T Ewan has actually fallen back a little bit, and we've just pulled away from the two guys behind. And as I said, this is something I'm not used to really in this game. I'm the one chasing, but the pace was it's just super good. Pinecone's got the fastest lap so far. I wasn't pushing really on the first few laps. I was just trying to save my tyres, and we've managed to actually build out quite a decent advantage. 3 seconds behind Ewan is now in the space of a few laps we pulled away. So really controlling that. Pinecone's actually pitted, so I'm going to respond to him going in next lap. And in practice, the overcut was actually a thing really, and this in lap I felt I pushed reasonably hard, so I felt it was pretty good, and I felt I'd be able to come out quite comfortably ahead of him. So so far I'm not going to get held in the pits. I'm the last car in the pit lane, which is one of the reasons why I actually chose this Williams, so I'm not going to get held up at all. A few people stayed out on the hard tyre, like the VSR Infamous, so he could be a threat at the end. And that's part of the reason why I went all out on my qualifying laps, because even if I started near the back, that strategy is actually very effective, because you're so fast sitting in the mediums. But coming out here now, Pinecone is... I can't quite gauge the distance at this point, but I think he's definitely gained some time. We 100% has gained some time. So I was really surprised how much he gained here. But you can see, got a big distance to Ewan. And now it's just a case of seeing how far away he is, and he's about 1.3 seconds behind. So this is crucial. I have to keep him out of this DRS zone. I've got a lap fresher tyres in him as well. We'll go skip on a couple of laps, or a few laps each time, and you can see what the gap is here. About 1.1 seconds now. So it is absolutely crucial. As I said, we need to keep him out of this, because once you're in the DRS zone, it's very easy to stay with people, because the DRS is just so powerful in this game. Finishing lap 11, starting lap 12, he's about 1 second behind now, so I can tell he's pushing very, very hard. But with the fuel load I've got, the only disadvantage is that I can't really afford to push that hard with the fuel at all. So leaving it in stand here, not even going to rich, going back down to high, trying to get some good traction coming up here. Now back up to rich, then into overtake. I just need to stay ahead of him as much as I can. Let's see what the gap is going through here, because we're quite quick in the straight line. It's about 1.1, so just about controlling the gap. That's my first warning, so 3 of them, you get a 3-second time penalty, and it's very, very easy to do that around here. And skipping towards the end of lap 13, this is our second warning now, and he was about 1 second behind, and 2 warnings. I can't afford to get another one, especially in league racing now. You cannot rely on other people getting the penalties, and straight away in my mind I just thought, you know what, I can't afford to get another one. We've got a huge gap to the guy behind at all, almost got in the validation there as well, and you can be able to see now, is 9/10 behind, and he's got to have DRS on this straight. So I knew I just couldn't afford to get any more warnings, and I just thought, you know what, I should be able to keep him behind. I'm just going to try and control this gap now, because it's going to be pretty much impossible to shake him off, because there's 2 DRS zones around this track, and just paying a little bit more caution into track limits, because I've actually checked multiple times through Jeff on my MFD that he has not got any penalties whatsoever. So, you know, I'm not going to be able to pull away from him with this DRS unless I get a quick break or manage to overtake VSR Top Tom, who hasn't pitted yet, so he's still on the hard tyres. So 16 lap old tyres versus about 6 lap old tyres on what we're using. So, you know, there's nowhere to overtake here, so we're just parked up right behind him. But fortunately, the guy in Net P3 MNT Ewan is quite a long way behind, so just showing how good our pace has really actually been. And it's just unfortunate that Pinecone managed to just get in my DRS zone, because I felt if I could have just held out just a little bit, not got that warning and stayed ahead, I think gradually throughout the race I would have started to pull away, particularly with having a lap pressure tyres as well. But at this point here, not taking any risks, because I didn't think Pinecone would have any opportunity to overtake me. So I'm just really kind of taking my time here, using this to just charge up my ERS and just save a little bit of fuel as well, which I was confident I was getting to the green pretty easily towards the end of the race here. But there's no way to overtake, and VSR Top Tom is not exactly going very quickly at this point here. He's quite a long way behind the other hard runners, so really need to get past him as quick as possible. But we are going to get a slight bit of dirty air going to this corner, actually sliding a little bit through that, so that's not optimal. And Pinecone has gone right up behind me, and he's actually going down the inside, going to turn 1. Going into turn 1, we actually make contact, pushing me out wide slightly, so I'm going around the outside of him. I knew I couldn't lose his position whatsoever, so I'm fighting this with everything I have now, banging wheels going into turn 3 here, just about staying ahead, getting in the DRS zone, as Top Tom has actually got away a little bit, but Pinecone is going to attack me once again, so we're going to have to defend it here. We cannot afford for him to get past. He tries to go around the outside. We position our car very nicely, almost getting another track invalidation, defending once again, going to his right-hander, and let's see what he does here. The arrow still right behind, tries to go down the inside, but we turn in no matter what, because I didn't think he would really try and risk breaking a wing there. And yeah, I cannot afford for him to get past at all. Although I feel I have better pace than him throughout the race, you can see it's very, very hard to overtake people. If I'm struggling to overtake someone on 10 lap older tyres than me, imagine 1 lap older tyres, and the likes of Pinecone, very good race in this game. It's going to be a pretty big challenge, and I was just so desperate to stay in front of him. And there's been cases in the past where I haven't really defended at all, and on that occasion I really did need to defend. So coming towards the end of this lap now, I was just really hopeful that I'll get a nice clean break on VSR Top Tom. I knew he wouldn't be pitting now, because they'll probably be pitting around lap 20 or something like that. So I'm just holding myself back a little bit here, although you can't really see it. I'm purposely holding myself a little bit back so he doesn't get a good run on me like he did on the previous lap. And you can see here now, I've got a big distance just because I backed him up just ever so slightly by just not going on the throttle that super early, which gives me a really good opportunity now should be a relatively easy pass, but Top Tom has actually got quite some good traction, annoyingly, off this corner, so I needed to be as close as possible coming off here, and I'm very, very close in the DRS zone, and this, gonna be a very easy move. And I think, as you can see there, I think Top Tom has just decided to concede that position because he just doesn't really want to get involved in that fight, which is good news, but also that's allowed Pinecone to get through scot-free as well without really having to overtake him. So there's no chance of the break, and we're going to be able to see now. I just knew in my head that it was going to be very difficult to try and break away in the DRS zone, but I felt, with my driving and everything, I felt I had him covered. I felt as long as I got a good exit coming off this right-hander here now. You see, he's pretty close coming into this right-hander, but I always got a very good exit coming up here, and that distance there is probably like the average distance he was for most of these laps towards the end of the race. And you can see going through here, there's no real threat at all. I'm very quick in the straight line, but still able to keep it up through the corners. And moving on to lap 20 again, you can see there's a little bit of a gap, so I had some opportunities to break away from him, but just with those two DRS zones, it's so difficult. I felt I was the quicker car at this point. I was being super consistent, and to keep in mind as well, I had 2 warnings, so I couldn't afford to take too many risks. If I took a risk to get out of the DRS zone, all you'd have to do is stay in the 3-second window, and you would have, comfortably be guaranteed to win this race. And this is probably the closest he's been now, but still, he could not get past through here, and particularly through this midfield section and the last sector, I was quite a bit quicker than him going through here. As you can see, 2 hours going through here, but getting a very nice exit. And let's look behind. That was, again, that's probably about the average distance he was. Got a huge gap to the guys behind. Infamous is actually on medium tyres, so you have to pay attention to him as well. And 2/10 of a gap, but I just felt I had him under control, completely under control now. So starting the penultimate lap of the race, he's about half a second behind. So this is literally the case for every single lap in the last stint. It was about half a second, 4/10 behind here. Quite close behind me here. I always get some very good traction, but just making sure I get a very good launch off this corner, so go slow in, fast out. Wasn't completely hooked on the apex then, and this is probably the closest. It's been one of the more closer occasions, but you can see again, not really. I knew you'd have to be an insane dive bomb as I actually lock up a little bit through there, but I knew you'd have to take a really big risk to overtake me going to this corner. So I felt pretty secure, pretty comfortable, and you can see I'm actually green in the fuel now as well, with still a little bit of ERS to play with. So I'm in a very good position here, and completely. I know he doesn't have a penalty because I did check that on the previous lap. So that's something to obviously think about. But you can see going through this section, very, very strong going through here. I always got a good exit come off here, which is very important again. And you can see quite a big gap on the mini-map. But going into this right-hander, downshifting, 3rd, 4th, 2nd, and then 1st gear, I actually lost the car completely, and I've lost the lead of this race on the penultimate lap. And in that moment, I just couldn't believe what had happened to me. But looking back on this, inside I was absolutely raging, and I felt I responded really well mentally in my head. I said to myself, I'm not going to lose this race. There is no way I'm going to lose this race, despite leading, because I've led every single lap of this race pretty much. I'm going to fight everything in this last lap, so I did not give up at all. And you can see, taking big risks now, going into turn 1, I was really hungry to get this position back, so really super tight, being very aggressive, much earlier on the throttle. So just all or nothing now in this last lap. I was no way that I was not going to challenge for the lead again. And I got a very good exit. He actually hits the wall. He doesn't get damaged, and we've got a very good run, very quick in the straight, and go round the outside. We've actually gone ahead of him into the braking zone. He goes in deep. He actually pushes me off into the wall. We actually get some damage on both sides of the front wing. So I have a yellow front wing now, and again, I don't know how I was actually so calm. I was just completely focused on trying to win this race. I said to myself, there's no way I'm losing this no matter what. He tries to go down the inside 4th gear because you have so much understeer. And look on the mini-map, VSR Infamous is catching up on the medium tire as well. So going into his fast left-hander, he dives down the inside. That actually pushes me out wide once again, but I still somehow managed to stay ahead. And you can see getting quite angry here now, but making sure I cover the inside, making sure he doesn't go around the outside, but he gets a very good switchback because he has no damage whatsoever. Going into this right-hander, I'm going to fight everything for this. He actually pushes me deep into this corner. Luckily, I'm not getting another invalidation. I've managed to still keep the position, so I'm just fighting everything I can for this. And at this moment, I felt this was almost done. Just another couple of corners here to go. You can see Infamous has actually taken over because Pinecone, I can confirm, has actually run out of fuel. Going through the last corner now, and I've done enough to win this race. And you can see by my reaction of how happy I was. I was just over the moon with that. With that mistake on that penultimate lap. That was purely a double downshift because I was focusing too much of what gear I was in. That was just a complete driver error for me. That wasn't a mistake. That was, it was just me focusing on that far too much. And now we're actually going to focus again on this last lap. Just have a little bit of a talk through. So you can see Pinecone actually hits the wall there. I get a very good run, and I knew that I'd be the car ahead going to here. And just before we start braking, he is not even in the red. So I decided to brake, try and stay on the track, but he goes in so deep. And yeah, nothing to say really. I'll show you a message that we spoke about this after the race. But yeah, right now, mentally, my mind, even before that mistake, I said, I'm going to win this race. I just convinced myself I'm going to win this race no matter what. Either I'm going to crash or come last, or I'm going to win this race. There's no way I'm putting in all this effort to come in second place. He goes down the inside again, and I didn't think that was too bad at all. I was expecting him again because he knows I have damage. I'm not happy here, but I knew I had to cover this inside, braking late in him because I didn't want him to go around the outside. But since he has no damage, he gets a very good run on me through here. But I knew again, if I go around the outside and go the inside for left, he actually pushes me on the rear going to his. So there's nothing I could do at this point. I stay nice and tight to the left, and I felt now that unless he gets me into his right-hander, then that should be done and dusted. And at this moment, I didn't know Infamous was actually in P2. I still thought it was Pinecone behind me. I was just so focused on making sure I get a good run, staying tight in here, so make sure he doesn't get a switchback on me. And yeah, when I made that mistake, I was really, really happy of how I responded. Instead of giving up and accepting defeat, I said to myself, no, you need to just focus fully on attacking him, and that's exactly what I did. So I'm so happy at that. It feels awesome to win a race again, to get a pole position, to have that kind of pace. I definitely feel with the equipment and just the practice I've been doing recently has really started to pay off. I've had a lot of lows in this game, but to get a win like this in a field of this caliber as well, I'm extremely happy with. So thank you so much for your support. The live stream was truly incredible as well. I appreciate it so much. Yeah, it means the world to me. And me and Pinecone, he was very respectful. He admitted, or he felt it was his fault completely, and said I deserved to win the race. So full respect to him. So please don't disrespect him. He's a great racer, but those kind of things happen on the last lap as well. So thank you so much for the support on this. As I said, yeah, it feels good to be back in league racing again. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you very soon. Peace.